Jake Morrison guided his cargo ship into Docking Bay 12 with practiced ease. The trading station hung in neutral space, a massive wheel of metal and lights, where dozens of species came to buy, sell, and pretend they trusted each other. He had been here 100 times before, hauling medical supplies, machine parts, and whatever else paid enough to keep his ship running. It was honest work, boring work, and that suited him fine. The station hummed with activity as Jake walked through the main corridor. Vendors called out in a dozen languages. Some he understood, and some he did not. The air smelled like oil, exotic foods, and recycled oxygen. He needed to pick up his next cargo manifest and grab something to eat before the long haul to the outer colonies. That was when he noticed the dragon ship. It sat in the premium docking area, sleek and dark like polished stone. Dragon vessels were rare this far from their home system. They kept to themselves mostly, participating in galactic affairs only when it suited them. The sight of one here meant something important was happening, though Jake could not guess what. 2 dragon guards stood at the entrance to their docking bay, tall and covered in dark scales that seemed to drink in the light. Their eyes tracked every person who passed, cold and calculating. Jake had seen dragons before, but never up close. They made him nervous in a way he could not quite explain. He turned toward the market section, pushing thoughts of dragons from his mind. He had his own problems to worry about. The market was crowded. Jake squeezed past a group of traders arguing over the price of rare metals. He found a food stall that served something close to human cuisine and ordered a protein pack and water. While he waited, he watched the crowd flow past. That was when he saw her. She was small, barely reaching his chest, with silver scales that caught the overhead lights. A dragon, but young. Very young. She wore simple clothing, not the formal robes he had seen other dragons wear, and she moved through the crowd with wide eyes full of wonder. She stopped at a vendor selling crystals, reaching out to touch a blue stone that pulsed with inner light. Jake frowned. Where were her guards? Young dragons should not wander alone, not in a place like this. He scanned the area but saw no other dragons nearby. The guards at the docking bay were too far away to see her from here. Something felt wrong. 3 figures moved through the crowd with purpose. They wore trader clothing, but their eyes never left the young dragon. Their hands stayed hidden beneath their coats. Jake had spent enough time in rough places to recognize hunters when he saw them. His heart started to pound. The young dragon moved to another stall, completely unaware. The 3 figures split up, circling her from different angles. One of them reached inside his coat. Jake did not think. His body moved before his mind caught up. He pushed through the crowd, knocking aside a vendor's display. Crystals scattered across the floor. People shouted. The young dragon turned at the noise, her silver eyes meeting his for just a moment. Then the attackers moved. Jake threw himself forward and wrapped his arms around the dragon child. He felt her small body against his chest, heard her surprised gasp. Time seemed to slow down. The first blade punched into his left shoulder. Pain exploded through him, white, hot, and terrible. The second blade caught his right arm as he tried to shield her head. The third and fourth blades struck his back in quick succession. The fifth drove into his side, below his ribs. The pain was beyond anything he had ever felt. It burned like fire in his veins, spreading from each wound. His legs gave out and he collapsed, still holding the dragon child beneath him. She was crying, he realized, making high-pitched sounds of fear and confusion. He wanted to tell her it would be okay. He wanted to tell her to run, but his mouth would not work. The poison from the blades was already shutting down his body. Shouts erupted around them. The crowd scattered. Jake heard the sharp crack of energy weapons firing. Bodies hit the ground nearby. Heavy footsteps approached, and strong hands pulled him away from the child. A dragon face filled his vision, older and scarred, with dark green scales. The dragon's mouth moved, words Jake could not hear over the ringing in his ears. More dragons appeared, some in armor, some in medical whites. They surrounded the young dragon, checking her for injuries. Jake felt himself being lifted onto a stretcher. The station's ceiling lights passed overhead in a blur. The young dragon's face appeared above him, tears streaming down her silver scales. She reached for his hand. His vision began to fade. The burning in his veins had spread everywhere now. He could not feel his fingers or toes. His chest felt like someone had filled it with broken glass. A dragon in medical clothing leaned over him, speaking quickly to others Jake could not see. Something cold pressed against his neck. His vision cleared slightly, but the burning got worse. The young dragon was still there, being held back by one of the guards. She was screaming something at the adults, her small hands reaching toward Jake. The scarred dragon knelt beside her, placing a heavy hand on her shoulder. Jake tried to focus on their faces. Tried to remember why this mattered. 5 blades. He had taken 5 blades meant for a child. His mind felt foggy, thoughts slipping away like water through his fingers. The last thing he saw before the darkness took him was the young dragon breaking free from the guard. She grabbed his hand in both of hers, scales pressing against his skin. Her silver eyes locked onto his face. Then nothing. Jake Morrison, cargo pilot and nobody in particular, drifted into the dark. He did not know if he would wake again. He did not know that he had just invoked an ancient law that would change his life forever. He did not know that taking those 5 blades would make him something new, something that had not existed in 800 years. All he knew, in that last moment of consciousness, was that the child was safe. That was enough. Jake woke to the sound of water dripping on stone. His eyes opened slowly, adjusting to dim orange light that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Everything hurt, but it was a dull ache now. Not the burning agony he remembered. He tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Do not move yet. The voice was deep and rumbling, more felt than heard. Your body is still healing. Jake turned his head carefully. A dragon sat beside his bed, scales a deep bronze color. The dragon wore white robes, marked with symbols Jake did not recognize. A healer. Probably. Where am I? Jake's voice came out as a croak. The Royal Healing Sanctuary on Drakthar, our homeworld. The dragon leaned forward, examining Jake with golden eyes. You have been asleep for 3 weeks. I am Healer Zeth. 3 weeks. Jake tried to process that. The last thing he remembered was the young dragon's face, her silver eyes full of tears. The blades. 5 blades. The child, Jake said. Is she? Princess Syrah is unharmed, thanks to you. Healer Zeth made a sound that might have been approval. She has visited you every day. Left gifts. Books. Mostly. She seems to think you might like human stories. Jake looked around the room for the first time. He lay in a bed carved from dark stone, smooth and warm to the touch. The walls were crystalline, glowing with that same orange light. Small piles of books sat on a table near the door, along with drawings done in a child's hand. I should be dead, Jake said. The memories were coming back now. The poison spreading through his veins, shutting down his body piece by piece. Yes, Healer Zeth agreed. The blades were treated with serpent venom, concentrated enough to kill a full-grown dragon in minutes. It should have killed you in seconds. Your heart stopped twice during transport. But you kept fighting. Your body is remarkable, human. We had to invent new treatments, just to keep you alive. Jake touched his shoulder where the first blade had struck. He felt thick scars beneath the thin fabric of his clothing. Why am I here? Why not send me back to human doctors? You invoked an ancient law. A new voice said from the doorway. Jake looked up. Another dragon entered. This one female and ancient. Her scales were deep blue-black, and she moved with the slow dignity of great age. She wore robes of dark red that pooled on the floor behind her. Every dragon in the galaxy would recognize her. High Matriarch Kira, ruler of the Dragon Kingdom. Healer Zeth immediately stood and bowed low. Jake tried to sit up again, but the High Matriarch waved a hand. Stay as you are, Jake Morrison. You have earned rest. I protected a child, Jake said. Anyone would have done the same. No. Kira's voice was firm. Most would not. Most would have looked away. told themselves it was not their concern. You had no obligation to my granddaughter, no reason to risk your life for a dragon child. Yet you did not hesitate. Granddaughter. Jake felt his stomach drop. He had thrown himself over a princess. The heir to the dragon throne. There is an old law among my people, Kira continued. It comes from the ancient times. Before we reach the stars, if someone takes blades meant for dragon royalty, if they sacrifice their body without obligation or expectation of reward, they are considered bound by blood and honor. They become Veil Guard. Jake frowned. I don't know what that means. The Veil Guard are the elite protectors of the royal family, the highest honor a dragon can achieve. They are sworn to guard the throne with their lives, and in return, they are treated as family. Kira's eyes never left his face. No one outside our species has ever been offered this position. Not in 800 years. The room felt too small suddenly. Jake's mind raced. I'm not a warrior. I'm just a cargo pilot. I wouldn't know the first thing about protecting royalty. Perhaps, Kira said. But you knew enough to act when it mattered. That is the foundation everything else is built upon. The door opened again. A human woman in a formal uniform stepped inside, her face a mixture of concern and confusion. She had short brown hair and tired eyes. Captain Lisa Hendricks. Judging by her rank insignia, Mr. Morrison, she said. I'm the human liaison officer assigned to this system. I've been trying to get clearance to speak with you for 2 weeks. Are you all right? Do you need medical evacuation? I am told I'm healing, Jake said. Captain Hendricks glanced at the High Matriarch nervously. With respect, our doctors should examine you. The galactic medical protocols require. Your doctors would not know how to treat serpent venom, Kira said calmly. They would have let him die while they ran tests. My healers saved his life. Captain Hendricks pressed her lips together but did not argue. She turned back to Jake. The human government is prepared to transport you home as soon as you're cleared for travel. We can arrange full medical care and compensation for your injuries. You're being called a hero back home. A hero. Jake almost laughed. He had acted on instinct, nothing more. There is another option, Kira said. She looked at Jake with those ancient eyes. You may return to your life if you wish. No one will think less of you. Or you may choose to stay here and train as Veil Guard. Learn our ways. Become something new. That's insane, Captain Hendricks said before she could stop herself. No human has ever. That is precisely the point, Kira interrupted. Perhaps it is time. Jake closed his eyes. His old life waited for him out there. Cargo runs and empty ships. One station after another until he was too old to fly. He had been content with that once. But lying here, feeling the scars on his body, he remembered the moment he had thrown himself forward. For the first time in years, he had felt truly alive. He thought about the young dragon, Sarah, visiting him every day, leaving books and drawings. Hoping he would wake up. Can I see her? Jake asked. The princess? Kira smiled slightly. She has been lurking outside this room all morning. I suspect she heard your voice. The matriarch turned toward the door. Sarah, you may enter. The door swung open, and the young dragon rushed inside. She had grown a bit in 3 weeks, Jake noticed. Her silver scales gleamed in the orange light. She stopped beside his bed, staring at him with wide eyes. You are awake, she said in careful English. I was scared you would sleep forever. I'm awake, Jake confirmed. His throat felt tight. Thank you for saving me, Sarah said quietly. No one, ever. They told me humans were selfish, that they only cared about themselves. But you got hurt so I would not. Why? Jake thought about that. He thought about the choice he had made, the moment before the blades struck. Because it was right, he said finally. That's all. Sarah reached out and took his hand in both of hers, just like she had done on the station. Will you stay? Grandmother says you might become Veil Guard. I would like that very much. Jake looked at Captain Hendricks, then at Kira, then back at the child holding his hand. He thought about his empty cargo ship and his empty life. He thought about the moment he had acted without thinking, and how that single choice had led him here. "Yes," he said, "I'll stay." Captain Hendricks sighed but did not protest. Kira nodded once, satisfied. Sierra's face lit up with joy. Jake Morrison, cargo pilot, had made his choice. He had no idea what came next. No idea how hard the path would be, but for the first time in a very long time, he felt like he was exactly where he needed to be. The Crucible lived up to its name. Jake stood at the entrance to the training grounds, staring up at the black stone fortress carved into the mountain. Steam rose from vents in the ground, and the air smelled like sulfur and ash. This was where dragon warriors had trained for thousands of years, where the Veil Guard learned to become legends. Master Thorn waited inside the courtyard, his dark scales covered in old scars. He looked at Jake the way someone might look at a bug that had wandered into their home. His yellow eyes held no warmth. "You are late," Master Thorn said. "I was told to arrive at dawn," Jake replied. The sun had just broken the horizon. Dawn for a dragon is different than dawn for a human. "You should have asked." Master Thorn turned and walked toward a training area without looking back. "Keep up." The first week nearly killed him. Dragons were stronger than humans, faster, and could endure conditions that would put a human in the hospital. Master Thorn seemed determined to prove this every single day. He woke Jake before sunrise with combat drills, had him run up and down the mountain carrying stones, and made him practice defensive positions until his legs shook. At night, Jake collapsed onto his sleeping mat, too tired to even eat. His scars ached, his muscles screamed. Twice he vomited from exhaustion. Master Thorn never showed mercy. "Again," the old dragon would say, watching Jake struggle through another drill. "If you cannot do this, you cannot protect royalty." Again. Other Veil Guard members watched from the sides of the training ground. Some looked curious. Most looked skeptical. Jake heard them talking in their own language. Voices low but clear enough. They did not think he would last. Two younger dragons approached him during a water break. Twin siblings, their scales a matching dark red. One male, one female. "I am Ash," the male said. "This is my sister, Ember." "Word travels," Jake managed between gulps of water. "Master Thorn is being especially hard on you," Ember said. She glanced toward where the old dragon stood. "He lost his partner 50 years ago. She died protecting the previous High Matriarch. He believes only dragons can truly understand what it means to be Veil Guard." "He might be right," Jake said. His whole body hurt. "Maybe," Ash said. "But you are still here. That counts for something." The days blurred together. Jake failed more than he succeeded. He was too slow in combat drills, too weak to carry the loads Master Thorn assigned, too unfamiliar with dragon customs and traditions. Every mistake brought harsh words from his instructor. "You embarrass the Veil Guard," Master Thorn said one morning after Jake collapsed during a stamina exercise. "You embarrass the princess who asked the High Matriarch to accept you. Perhaps you should return to your cargo ship where you belong." Jake pushed himself up, breathing hard. No. Master Thorn's eyes narrowed. "I made a choice. I'm seeing it through." Jake got to his feet, legs shaking. "I'll do the drill again. I'll do the drill again. I'll do the drill again." Something flickered in Master Thorn's expression, too fast for Jake to read. "Again. Then. And this time, try not to shame us both." On his 20th day at the Crucible, Princess Sarah visited. She was not supposed to be there. The training grounds were restricted, meant only for warriors and candidates, but Sarah had a habit of going where she was not supposed to go, and the guards seemed unable to stop her. She found Jake sitting by one of the steam vents, eating his evening meal alone. His hands were wrapped in bandages from rope burns. "You look terrible," Sarah said, sitting down beside him. "I feel terrible," Jake admitted. "Master Thorn is mean to everyone," Sarah said. "He made my brother cry once during training. Do not feel bad." Jake smiled despite himself. "Your brother is the crown prince. I'm just a cargo pilot. You are the human who saved my life." Sarah pulled a small book from her bag. I brought you something. It is about our history. Master Thorn says you do not understand dragon honor, but maybe this will help. Jake took the book carefully. The cover was worn. The pages old. Thank you. We believe that actions show truth better than words, Sarah said quietly. When you took those blades, you showed us who you are. That is why grandmother accepted you. Not because you are strong or skilled, but because you acted without thinking of yourself. She stood up, brushing dust from her clothes. Master Thorn knows this too, even if he does not say it. Keep trying, Jake Morrison. I believe in you. She left before the guards noticed she was there. That night, Jake read the book by lamplight. It told stories of ancient Vale Guard members, their deeds and sacrifices. One story stood out. A dragon named Keth who had saved a royal child but lost the use of his wings in the process. The other Vale Guard had doubted him afterward, thought he was too damaged to serve. But Keth had trained harder than anyone, learned to fight without flight, and eventually became the personal guard to the High Matriarch herself. Different body, same determination. The next morning, Jake approached Master Thorn with a request. I need different training, Jake said. I'm never going to be as strong as a dragon, or as fast. But humans think differently. We solve problems differently. Let me use that. Master Thorn stared at him for a long moment. Explain. Give me a scenario. Something your traditional training covers. Let me try solving it my way. The old dragon considered this. Then he gestured toward the obstacle course. There. The Guardian's path. You must cross from one end to the other while protecting a simulated charge. The charge is that weighted dummy. Dragon candidates use speed and strength to carry it through. You will fail. Maybe, Jake said. But let me try. He studied the course carefully. It was designed for dragons. High walls to scale, gaps to jump, barriers to smash through. Impossible for a human carrying extra weight. But there were ropes everywhere. Support structures. Anchor points. Tools dragons would ignore because they did not need them. Jake picked up the dummy and began. Instead of trying to climb with it, he used ropes to pull it up walls. Instead of jumping gaps, he built a simple rope bridge and slid the dummy across. When he reached a barrier, he did not try to smash through. He found a narrow gap at the side and squeezed through with the dummy. It took him twice as long as a dragon would take, but he made it to the end. Master Thorn stood waiting, arms crossed. Ash and Ember had stopped their own training to watch. Other Vale Guard members had gathered at the edges of the course. You cheated, Master Thorn said. I used the tools available, Jake countered. In a real situation, would you rather I fail trying to do things your way, or succeed doing things my way? The silence stretched out. Jake's heart pounded. He had just contradicted his instructor in front of everyone. Then Master Thorn made a sound like stones grinding together. It took Jake a moment to realize the old dragon was laughing. You are clever, human. I will give you that. Master Thorn looked at the other Vale Guard members. This is what I have been trying to teach you all for years. Adapt. Think. Do not rely only on strength. He turned back to Jake. Your weakness forces you to be creative. Perhaps there is value in that after all. It was not quite respect, but it was close. The training continued, but it changed. Master Thorn still pushed him hard. But now he listened when Jake suggested different approaches. The other Vale Guard members started talking to him, asking questions about human tactics and thinking. Ash and Ember trained alongside him, learning his methods while teaching him theirs. 3 months after arriving at the Crucible, Jake faced his first trial. A 72-hour endurance test in the high mountains, protecting a simulated charge from attacks by training drones. No sleep, little food, constant threat. Jake used every trick he had learned. Dragon strength and endurance, human creativity, and tactics. When drones attacked, he did not try to fight them head-on. He used terrain, set traps, created false positions to draw them away from his charge. When he stumbled back into the Crucible after 3 days, covered in dirt and barely able to stand, Master Thorn was waiting. You passed. the old dragon said simply. Barely. But you passed. He placed a heavy hand on Jake's shoulder. An, you have earned the right to continue training, Jake Morrison. Do not make me regret this. Jake could not help but smile. I'll try not to. Jake stood in the armory, pulling on his new uniform. The black armor felt strange after months of training clothes. But it fit perfectly. The symbol of the Veil Guard marked his chest, a silver dragon coiled around a shield. He was no longer a candidate. Tomorrow, he would take his oath. Looking sharp, Ember said from the doorway. She and Ash had become his closest friends during training. Should I be? Most candidates throw up before the ceremony, Ash said, joining his sister. It is tradition. Jake smiled, but his stomach did feel tight. Tomorrow, he would swear to protect the Dragon Royal family with his life. A cargo pilot from nowhere, making promises to kings and queens. There is something you should know, Ember said, her voice dropping. There have been rumors. Talk of threats against the royal family during the treaty negotiations. What kind of threats? The kind that involves Lord Varric, Ash said. He leads a rival house. His family lost power when the current High Matriarch took the throne. He has never forgiven that. Before Jake could ask more, Master Thorn appeared. Jake Morrison, come with me. They walked through the fortress in silence until they reached a secure room deep inside. Several dragons waited there, along with a human woman Jake did not recognize. She wore the uniform of Human Intelligence Services. This is Agent Tracy Cole, Master Thorn said. She has information that concerns you. Agent Cole nodded to Jake. 2 months ago, we intercepted communications between extremist human groups and members of Lord Varric's house. They are planning something during the treaty ceremony. The details are unclear, but your name came up several times. Jake frowned. Why would I matter to them? Because you are a symbol, Agent Cole said. A human protecting dragon royalty. Some humans see you as a traitor. Some dragons see you as a political stunt. Both sides have reasons to want you removed. They want to kill him? Ember asked sharply. They want to kill Princess Sarah, Master Thorn said quietly. Jake is just in the way. Again, the room fell silent. The ceremony tomorrow, Jake said. That's when they'll strike. We believe so, Agent Cole confirmed. Both human and dragon leaders will be present. Perfect target for anyone wanting to start a war. Cancel the ceremony, Ash said immediately. Master Thorn shook his head. The High Matriarch will not hide from threats. She has already refused to cancel. The ceremony proceeds as planned. Then we prepare, Jake said. What do we know about their plan? They spent the night reviewing intelligence and planning security. The ceremony would take place in the Great Hall, with hundreds of guests from both species. Too many entry points. Too many variables. Jake's head spun, trying to track all the potential threats. As dawn approached, Agent Cole pulled him aside. There's something else you should know. One of the extremists we identified is named Connor Drake. Records show he used to work cargo routes in the same sector as you. Jake's blood went cold. Connor. He remembered the man. Remembered drinking with him at stations, sharing stories about the loneliness of space. Connor had always been angry about something, always complaining about how other species got better treatment than humans. Jake had not seen him in years. He knows how you think, Agent Cole said. How you move. That makes him dangerous. The ceremony began at noon. Jake stood with the other Veil Guard members near the royal platform, watching the crowd file in. Dragons in formal robes, humans in their best diplomatic dress. The hall glittered with lights and decorations, a show of unity and peace. Princess Sarah sat beside her grandmother, wearing a silver gown that matched her scales. She caught Jake's eye and smiled. He nodded back, trying to look calm. Prince Darius, Sarah's older brother, stood to give the opening speech. He talked about cooperation, about building bridges between species, about the future they could create together. That was when the first explosion hit. The blast came from the western wall, blowing a hole through stone and filling the air with smoke. People screamed. Dragons roared. Veil Guard members moved instantly, forming a protective circle around the royal family. "Get them out!" Master Thorn shouted. More explosions followed, smaller ones scattered throughout the hall. Chaos erupted. Guests ran for exits. Through the smoke, Jake saw figures in dark clothing moving with purpose toward the royal platform. Assassins. Jake counted 8 of them, spread out and moving fast. They carried weapons designed to pierce dragon scales. Behind them, more attackers engaged the palace guards, keeping them busy. "Ash, Ember, get the princess to the safe room," Jake shouted. "Master Thorn, with me." They moved as a unit, training taking over. The assassins expected dragons, expected strength and direct combat. Jake gave them something different. He dropped low, sliding under a strike meant for his head, grabbed a fallen banner pole, and used it to sweep an assassin's legs. Master Thorn finished the attacker with a precise strike. They moved forward, clearing a path, but more assassins kept coming. Too many. This was coordinated, planned down to the second. Jake's mind raced. The explosions had cut off the main exits. The attackers knew the palace layout. Someone had given them inside information. Which meant, it's a diversion, Jake realized. The real attack is somewhere else. He broke away from Master Thorn, racing toward the corridor that led to the safe room. If they knew the layout, they would know where the royals would be taken. They would be waiting. He burst into the corridor and found exactly what he feared. 3 attackers stood between him and the safe room door. Behind that door, Sierra was trapped with only Ash and Ember to protect her. The attackers turned. One of them pulled down his mask. Connor Drake smiled at him. "Hello, Jake. Been a while." "Connor," Jake's hand moved to his weapon. "Don't do this. Don't do this." Connor laughed. "You threw away everything for a dragon child. You became their pet. Their propaganda tool. You betrayed your own species. I protected a child. That's not betrayal. They'll never see us as equals." Connor spat. "They look down on us. But you're too blind to see it. Too busy playing hero." The other 2 attackers moved to flank Jake. He was outnumbered, facing someone who knew his training, knew his moves. Behind the safe room door, he could hear sounds of fighting. Ash and Ember were holding off more attackers, but they could not do it forever. Jake breathed slowly, thinking. Connor knew his dragon training, but Connor had been gone for years. He did not know the human adaptations Jake had learned, the creative tactics that made him different. "Last chance," Connor said, raising his weapon. "Walk away. We only want the dragon." "No," Jake said simply. They attacked together. Jake dove sideways, using the narrow corridor to his advantage. In open space, 3 attackers would overwhelm him. But here, they got in each other's way. He used that. He caught one attacker's arm, redirected a strike into the wall, used the confined space to trap another against the stone. Connor came at him fast. Blade aimed for his throat. Jake recognized the move, had used it himself in training. He shifted at the last second. Let the blade slide past. Connor's eyes widened. "That's not." "I learned new tricks," Jake said. The fight was brutal and quick. Jake took a cut to his arm, another to his leg. But he kept moving, kept adapting. Finally, he got inside Connor's guard and struck hard. Connor went down, weapon clattering away. The other 2 attackers lay unconscious. Jake limped to the safe room door and pounded on it. "Ash, it's Jake. The corridor is clear." The door opened. Ash and Ember stood ready, weapons drawn. Behind them, Princess Sierra sat safely against the far wall. "Are you hurt?" Sierra asked, seeing the blood on Jake's clothes. "I'm fine," Jake lied. "Stay here until we're sure the palace is secure." Master Thorn's voice echoed down the corridor. "Jake Morrison, report." "Safe room secure," Jake called back. "Princess is unharmed." It took another hour to clear the palace completely. When the fighting finally stopped, Jake sat against a wall in the great hall, letting a medic treat his wounds. Around him, guards processed prisoners. Connor sat in restraints, staring at nothing. High Matriarch Kira approached, her robes singed from the explosions but her bearing still regal. "You saved my granddaughter." "Again. Just doing my job," Jake said. "Your job has not even officially started yet," Kira pointed out. The ceremony was interrupted. "Then we'll do it later," Jake said. "Right now, we need to find out who planned this. This wasn't just Connor and a few extremists. This was organized. Agent Cole is already investigating," Kira said. "She believes Lord Varric supplied intelligence and funding, but we will need proof." Jake nodded, then winced, as the medic pulled a piece of shrapnel from his arm. Tomorrow, he would help hunt down the conspirators. Tomorrow, he would find justice. Tonight, he was just glad everyone he cared about was alive. The Galactic Council chambers sat at the heart of neutral space, a massive structure where species came to settle disputes and forge alliances. Jake had never imagined he would stand before the council, but here he was, wearing his Veil Guard armor and carrying evidence that could prevent a war. The chamber was circular, with seating for representatives from 24 species. Dragons sat on one side, humans on another, others scattered throughout. At the center stood a platform where witnesses gave testimony. Jake walked to that platform now, aware of hundreds of eyes watching him. The council speaker, a tall being with blue skin and multiple arms, gestured for him to begin. "Jake Morrison, you may present your testimony." Jake touched the datapad in his hand, and holographic displays filled the air around him. Communications between Lord Varric's house and extremist human groups. Financial records showing payments for weapons and intelligence. Security footage from the attack on the ceremony. 6 weeks ago, I took 5 blades meant for Princess Sarah, Jake said. His voice carried through the chamber, amplified by the council's systems. Those blades were the first move in a larger plan. Lord Varric and his allies wanted to kill the Dragon Royal family during treaty negotiations. They wanted to make it look like humanity was responsible, to start a war between our species. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The dragon representatives shifted in their seats. The human delegation looked grim. "The attack failed," Jake continued. "But only because people from both species worked together. Dragon Veil Guard, human intelligence, soldiers from both sides fighting to protect each other. That cooperation is what the conspirators feared most." Lord Varric sat in the gallery, his dark scales rigid with barely controlled rage. "This human lies. He is a tool of the Dragon Throne, speaking words they put in his mouth. The evidence speaks for itself," Agent Tracy Cole said, standing from the human delegation. She walked to the platform beside Jake. "We have intercepted communications, traced financial transfers, and interrogated the captured attackers. All roads lead back to your house, Lord Varric." "Convenient," Varric sneered. "How much did the Dragon Throne pay you to manufacture this evidence?" "I have seen the evidence as well," a new voice said. President Grant of the human delegation stood, his weathered face serious. "My analysts confirm its authenticity. This conspiracy is real, and it threatens both our species." The council speaker raised a hand for silence. "This council will review all evidence and render judgment. But the question remains, what do we do now? Trust between humans and dragons is fragile. This attack has damaged it further." High Matriarch Kira rose from the dragon delegation. Despite her age, her voice filled the chamber with power. "I propose we turn this attack into an opportunity. Let us create a joint protection force, trained in both dragon and human methods. Let cooperation become our strength, not our weakness." "The Veil Guard has always been dragon only," another dragon representative objected. "You would dilute our ancient traditions?" "Traditions that adapt survive," Kira said. "Traditions that refuse to change die." Jake Morrison proved that different perspectives have value. "Let us build on that." "And who would lead this joint force?" President Grant asked. "We would need someone both sides trust." Master Thorn stood from the dragon delegation. Jake had not expected to see him here. The old warrior walked to the center platform, his scarred face impassive. "I nominate Jake Morrison," Master Thorn said. The chamber erupted in surprised voices. Jake stared at his mentor in shock. "He is barely trained," a dragon objected. "He has been Veil Guard for less than a season. He is trained enough," Master Thorn said firmly. "I trained him myself. More importantly, he has proven his loyalty to what is right, not to any single species. He took blades for a dragon child when he had no reason to care. He fought beside dragons and humans both. He is the bridge we need." "I agree," Agent Cole said. "Morrison has the respect of both our intelligence services and the Dragon Veil Guard. He's uniquely positioned for this role." Jake found his voice. "I'm honored, but I'm not a politician or a diplomat. I'm a protector. That's all I know how to be." "That is exactly what we need," Kira said. "Not politicians making promises, but protectors showing commitment through action." The council took 3 days to deliberate. Jake spent that time with Ash, Ember, and the other Veil Guard members, waiting for the decision. Princess Sarah visited him on the second day, bringing tea and sitting with him in the garden outside the council chambers. "Are you scared?" she asked. "Terrified," Jake admitted. "I never asked to be a symbol or a leader. I just wanted to do the right thing." "That is why you are perfect for this," Sarah said. She had grown taller in the months since Jake had first saved her. More confident. "You do not want power. You want to protect people. That is the best kind of leader." On the third day, the council reconvened. Jake stood before them once more, this time surrounded by both dragon and human delegations. The council speaker read the judgment. "We find Lord Varric guilty of conspiracy and attempted murder. His house will forfeit holdings and titles. The extremist human groups involved will face prosecution under galactic law." Varric was led away in restraints, his face twisted with fury. Jake felt no satisfaction watching him go, only relief that the threat was ended. "Furthermore," the speaker continued, "this council approves the creation of a joint human-dragon protection initiative. It will be modeled on Veil Guard principles but will incorporate methods and perspectives from both species. Jake Morrison is hereby appointed as first Veil Guard of the new era, tasked with building and leading this force." The chamber filled with mixed reactions. Some applauded. Some remained silent. Jake saw the human delegation looking thoughtful. The dragon delegation divided. Change never came easy. That evening, the Dragon royal family held a private ceremony in their quarters on the council station. Jake knelt before High Matriarch Kira, while Master Thorn, Ash, Ember, and Princess Sarah watched. "Jake Morrison," Kira said, placing her hand on his shoulder. "You took 5 blades for my granddaughter. You trained when others doubted you. You fought when others would have fled. You have earned your place among us." She lifted a pendant on a silver chain, the symbol of the Veil Guard wrought in precious metal. "Wear this with honor. Teach others what you have learned. Build bridges where others see only walls." Jake bowed his head as she placed the pendant around his neck. When he stood, he saw pride in Master Thorn's eyes, joy in Syrah's smile, respect from Ash and Ember. "I will do my best," Jake said. "That's all I can promise." "That is all anyone can ask," Kira replied. The months that followed were busy. Jake returned to the Crucible, but this time as an instructor. Human volunteers arrived, nervous and uncertain. Dragon warriors came too. Some eager to learn, some skeptical. Jake trained them together, teaching dragon strength and human creativity, building teams that could protect both species. Master Thorn remained his advisor, gruff but supportive. Ash and Ember became his first captains, leading mixed units of humans and dragons. Agent Cole worked with them, sharing intelligence and coordinating with both governments. Not everyone accepted the changes. Some dragons still muttered about tradition being broken. Some humans still saw cooperation as weakness. But slowly, steadily, the new Veil Guard proved themselves. They stopped smugglers operating in border regions. They protected diplomatic convoys. They showed that different species working together were stronger than either alone. 1 year after Jake took those 5 blades, he stood at a memorial ceremony. They had built it on the trading station where everything began. A simple stone marker remembering those who died in both attacks. Princess Sira stood beside him, now old enough to speak at official ceremonies. "My protector taught me that courage is not about being fearless," she said to the gathered crowd. "It is about acting despite fear." One human chose to act when he could have looked away. That choice changed everything. After the ceremony, Jake walked through the station market with Sarah and her guards, the same market where he had thrown himself over her. A dragon child and a human adult, walking together without fear. Other species watched them, some with approval, some still uncertain. They passed a vendor selling crystals, the same vendor where Sarah had stopped that day. She picked up a blue stone that pulsed with light. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked quietly. "Your old life was simpler." Jake thought about his cargo ship sitting unused in a hangar somewhere. He thought about the lonely years of running freight from one station to another. He thought about the moment he had acted without thinking, and everything that had followed. "No," he said honestly. "I found something worth protecting. That's more than most people ever get." Sira smiled and handed him the crystal. "For luck. You will need it. Grandmother says you are planning to open 3 more training centers." "4, actually," Jake said. "One on a neutral station. So other species can participate too." "You are going to change the galaxy," Sira said. "I'm just trying to do the right thing," Jake replied. "One choice at a time." They walked back through the station together, protector and protected, human and dragon. Around them, the galaxy continued its complicated dance of conflict and cooperation. But in this small space, in this moment, 2 species found common ground. Jake Morrison, who had taken 5 blades for a child he did not know, had become something new. Not quite human, not quite dragon, but something that bridged both worlds. He wore his Veil Guard pendant with pride, carried his scars without shame, and faced each day knowing his choice mattered. 5 blades meant to kill had instead carved a path toward hope. That seemed like a fair trade.